Are we live?
Um,
Is it actually working?
I'll find out. I'm gonna look on your channel in a minute. Hold on. In fact, you should be showing up my subscriptions feed. Where are you? You were here earlier. Now you're not here. Okay.
I just got an alert on my tablet saying we're live.
Okay. Well, we're live then.
Okay.
All right. You should be popping up in my feed though. I don't know where you are. Okay.
Well, if anyone's out there in YouTube land, welcome. Good evening. There were issues tonight. Nobody knows what was going on, but I guess we're working now, so that's good.
Yeah.
How are you, Mr. H. Boomer?
Very good. In fact, let me click on your channel. Here you are. We are live. Okay.
Excellent.
And 2 people are watching. Hello, Kartan the Klingon Cleric, Netters Network, Melissa Harris, all welcome. You're not late, Melissa. YouTube was down. We don't know what was going on with that.
I thought it was the end of the world, but apparently it was not. So,
but you think like the whole White House is being covered in military personnel, you know? Just I don't know. We didn't know what was going on, but anyway, welcome everybody. Let me make a post on. I'll share this on Twitter as well. All right, but tonight we're going.
I apologize for not being dressed appropriately, but I was running around the house trying to figure out what was wrong with the world instead. So.
Okay, but here we are. And what is the movie we're doing tonight?
Black Cauldron, which was your suggestion, and thank you for suggesting it. I had never seen it, but
we'll put up a nice picture.
It's a nice little film.
Yeah, and this was the first. This was the first time you saw it, right?
It was.
Okay.
I thought it was a horror movie when I was younger. I didn't realize.
Well, that's how the media treated it. We're going to get into that tonight. This was considered a big box office bomb the year that it came out. I believe it's talked about in the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty. Have you heard about that? It's how the Disney Animation Studios were in the doldrums and how they came back with The Little Mermaid. Yeah, it's all about how they came back with The Little Mermaid, but kind of like the dark times the Disney Animation Studios were suffering. And this was one of those unfortunate movies from that dark time. There were a lot of them.
The budget was $21.3 million. No, I'm sorry. The budget was $44 million.
That's a lot.
The box office was $21.3 million.
That's a lot, especially when you think about animated features, especially of that era.
Yeah.
Come on, that was a lot of money.
That was more than Return of the Jedi's budget.
You know, that puts things in perspective. Yeah, this movie needed to make a lot of money, okay, and it unfortunately didn't. And but we have it here now. This has never gotten a Blu-ray release. In fact, I can tell you a little.
Laserdisc?
No, not Laserdisc. It got a VHS release. I'm not kidding you. I think it was in 98. It was either 98 or 97. Yeah, I remember getting it on VHS. And I have to tell you, Disney used to have a reputation of whenever they would release something on VHS of picking the cheapest quality VHS tape they could find and using it. I think so the tapes would run out faster, and you'd have to buy another copy of it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And this one, it even though it came out officially, I never thought it looked great on the VHS. And later on, it got a DVD release, which didn't get so great reviews. Then it got a 25th anniversary DVD release where the print is much better. Still has not gotten a Blu-ray release. So I have the 25th anniversary release, and I guess you have it through Disney Plus.
I do, yeah.
So you might be watching the only HD version of this movie available. So that's interesting. Okay.
The colors on this film are very nice. I will say that.
Oh, this had a huge budget. They were going for. It's the only movie shot in this in the scope ratio. I think the only other one that
70 millimeter.
Yeah, and 70 millimeter. Only other movie done like this was Sleeping Beauty, which I think was 59. So they were really they were hoping that this was going to be the movie that was going to bring Disney animation back to the forefront, and it didn't happen. But there's a lot to say about this movie. But I guess we should say hi to the chat, though. Let's see. I think I already did. Okay. Big Al, yeah, thank you for hopefully we'll have a great stream as long as YouTube doesn't collapse again, but we'll move along. Okay.
And Troy is here twice. Thank you for your double appearance. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should start doing that. I should start liking my own videos twice.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. But yeah, let me go ahead and refresh this, and I'm ready whenever you are to start. But I don't know if you have to queue anything up. I can ramble on about this movie. Okay.
Well, let's ramble while we watch. So press the play button.
Let's do a 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay. 3,
and
2, 1, play.
Okay. You getting the Disney logo?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm trying to remember, does the old-fashioned Disney logo music play? I think it does, yeah. Now,
like when you wish upon a star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a creepy intro. I believe this is John Huston doing the narration. And legend has it in the mystic land of Prydain. And, we all know John Huston played the voice of Gandalf in the Hobbit and Return of the King cartoons. Remember those from the late 70s, early 80s?
Long time ago.
Yeah, I think Professor Geek did the Hobbit on his channel. So it's neat to hear John Huston's voice again at the beginning of this movie. And we're getting the first bit of Elmer. Hold on, I'm saying his name. Elmer Bernstein's. Almost wanted to say Elmore Leonard for some reason. And this track is just simply titled The Prologue. Okay.
And I just want to say, this is your suggestion. Thank you for suggesting it. But we've had comments about this score on and off in chats for a while. And I've looked at buying the CD, and I haven't bought it yet, but I really do need to. But thank you for suggesting this. I enjoyed this film greatly.
Yeah, this, I have to say, even as much as I was hunting for the just a copy of its own physically, I was also hunting for the soundtrack for years. I don't believe it got released on CD at release, or if it had, it was like limited. And I think in Europe it got a CD release, and we never got one over here. If memory serves, I don't think it ever did. This movie was a flash in the pan. This movie became an embarrassment for Disney. They buried it. It was almost like Song of the South. They wanted nothing to do with this movie anymore. This came out the same year as Return to Oz. That was another one that bombed, and they had 2 big bombs in the same year. Go ahead, though. I didn't interrupt.
I was going to say, the original soundtrack release was 30 minutes and 25 seconds. The Entrada release is 75 minutes and 27 seconds.
Yeah, and I would argue that some person argued that, they really put everything into this release. Okay, they put every track on this, and they actually said this was fairly easy to remaster, but there was one track that had got damage done to it. They had to work on that one, but for the most part, the masters were kept in good shape. They were surprised because usually they have more trouble when they do these releases. Yeah. And I saw this in the movies when it came out. I was a child of the 80s, and it was, I'll say it was good to be a child in the 80s. I think we got some awesome toys. We Saturday morning cartoons, and all this. It was a weird age to be a fan of Disney cartoons, though, because they by and large weren't available to the public. Once in a while you get a re-release of one of the older movies in the theaters, like you got Fantasia got released. Pinocchio got re-released because I remember seeing that again in the theaters when I was little, before I saw this. But they really weren't doing a lot of theatrical releases. The one I remember seeing before this that was an original was The Fox and the Hound, and I don't even remember it. I do own it on DVD. I need to watch it one of these days. But this came out, and this was supposed to be a big deal. My mom took me to see it. And I remember liking it all right, but the media tore it apart. Okay.
Roger Ebert seemed to like it.
Roger Ebert.
I saw an old review that he gave, and he said he enjoyed the film.
I haven't always agreed with Roger Ebert's reviews, but he tends to be more fair than more often than not. I found in his movie reviews. Like, I don't always agree with what he has to say, but he was always very generous to animation too, whether it was Disney. He was actually very generous to Japanese animation too. He always would, him and Siskel would always give those movies a fair shot. And yeah, I don't know what Leonard Maltin gave this movie, because I remember those big movie guides. I'm trying to remember what this movie got from him. I should look that up. But Yeah, but I think it was just a bomb at the box office. And when things bomb at the box office, then people tend to turn on them, you know?
They do. And nowadays, if you just bomb, you still release it on video. But back then, they did not.
No, I don't remember this ever getting re-released again. I don't know if this was ever shown on TV. You know, they had the Sunday Wonderful World of Disney.
Yeah.
I don't know if they finally did do a showing of this on there. I mean, the history. This became like a forbidden movie for a while, and it wasn't until I was like in college, like taking a couple film classes, I was like, I remembered this, and this got released on VHS in Europe, and my film professor had an illegal, legally recorded VHS of this, and let me make a copy of it just to see it, and it was terrible shape, but I did kind of marvel. I mean, I'm not saying this movie doesn't have its flaws, but I don't also believe it deserves the attacks it's received over the years.
I do like this little pig character.
Henwin, yeah. Well, this is from the book. This was based on a children's fantasy book series called The Chronicles of Prydain. I actually do own those.
5-volume set.
5 volumes of this, yeah. And this movie is
Yeah.
based on the first 2. They take a lot of liberties in this movie. For instance, the Horn King is the villain in the first book. He's not the villain in the second book that is titled The Black Cauldron. So in the Chronicles of Prydain, I don't even believe the Horn King had anything to do with the Black Cauldron storyline. There was a different villain in the second book. And different things like Fluter Flam in the books. He's a little older than Taran, but he's not like maybe he's like an older teenager. He's not like an older man like he is in the movie, you know. And he's still a bard though. But yeah, I like Henwin. She's an oracular pig, so she's good at divination. I believe, even though this isn't a fantasy world, this is all based on Welsh mythology. So
It is.
If you're thinking of a reference point, it's
that.
Wales. It's Wales, yeah.
I wonder if Disney still owns the rights to the books.
I think they do, and people are arguing that they would have liked them to do a live-action Chronicles of Prydain series, kind of how they started doing with the Chronicles of Narnia movies, okay? But they dropped the ball on those, too, so I don't expect them to ever make these, you know? But I thought it would have been neat for them to see, because Lloyd Alexander is he was a very popular children's author back in the day. I think he won a bunch of Newbery Awards, too, for excellence in children's literature, and he did other series too, though I think this is the one he's most well known for.
Have you read the books?
I have. I've read. It's been a while. I know I've read at least the first 3. They're good. Surprisingly well paced for a children's book. You'll read it, you'll keep wanting to turn the page. So, I remember there was a scene in the first book, the Book of 3, I believe, where Taran looks at some of the bad guys and they're putting someone into a wicker cage and then they're setting the wicker cage on fire. You know? And this is a children's book. I mean, it doesn't go too gruesome, but but you hear the guy, I think they make a point that you hear the guy screaming, But I'm trying to find information about the score. There's an instrument that Elmer Bernstein likes to use over and over again, right? Because I think it showed up in heavy metal too, in the heavy metal score.
It's I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Ondes Martenot, Ondes Martenot. Yeah. It creates like a musical wave effect.
Yeah.
It was used a lot in Ghostbusters. And I do hear a lot of Ghostbusters in this, the kind of creepy, like, woo parts. Yeah.
I hear Ghostbusters in this. I also hear the heavy metal soundtrack from the heavy metal animated movie. I think he's a great man to score these types of, kind of, I don't want to say like pulp fantasy, pulp science fiction type movies, because I think he did science fiction movies as well. And I'm trying to think though, isn't he best known for doing the score to the 10 Commandments though? Did he do the score to the 10 Commandments? Yes, I mean that's a big deal,
And how old the cowboy movie? The 7 Cowboys.
Magnificent 7. Yes, another big one. Yeah. So he was an all-pro by the time he got to these movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Chris B says, agree, it's awesome to be a child of the 80s. 80s were an interesting time. 90s weren't bad as well. I feel bad for the kids today. They have cool Nerf guns though. Okay.
They do.
In fact, I'll plead the fifth and admit that I own one. So I actually, well, I'm not pleading. Never mind. But it does seem like he's rushing him out the door. Like he's rushing him out the door with the pig. Go to the cottage at the edge of the Forbidden Forest. Weren't they better off staying there?
I would think so.
I mean, you're kind of setting him out. Here we have the introduction of what I consider to be one of the greatest Disney villains, the Horn King. And he is based on the villain, I think, of the first Prydain novel, who I believe gets killed off page too, which is kind of disappointing. So I think there's an older warrior that Taran befriends in the book that's going to teach him the ways, but I think the Horn King gets taken care of off screen. He was a terrifying character in the book too, as I remember, but he gets killed in the first book. I don't know if he comes back in the last book. I have to read the final book, but the bad habit of not finishing series.
I would like an 8-inch action figure of him because he looks pretty awesome.
I wonder if they had some when this movie came out. I didn't have any memorabilia for this movie. I had a sticker set I got somewhere, and that was it. I don't know if this stuff got pulled. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe yes, and I don't know what kind of toys I was buying at the time. Were rocks and bugs and things a thing at the time? That was a thing I was into. That's where you had like these rocks that looked like rocks, and then you press a button, there was a monster underneath, and they'd eat these little plastic people. Anyway, okay. I'm probably the only one who remembers that. But anyway, yeah, this was a big deal. Where was I at this time? I want to say I was 8 years old. What was the year of this movie?
85.
Yeah, 8 years old. That's about right. Yeah, I would have been 8 years old at the time. And I remember going to see this in the theater. I think we still had the Atari computer at that point, the Atari 800 computer. So all my gaming was done on that. And yeah, going to see a Disney movie is a big deal. But I think people were rather down on Disney animation at this point.
This movie was heavily edited down. It was they kind of struggled to get the PG rating.
They said they said Michael Eisner went in and cut footage.
Oh yeah.
And there's actual footage, and I think you can tell in a scene toward the end when the Cauldron Born are coming out that there's a piece of the score that seems like the score seems off, and the complete version's on the soundtrack where where I think one of the Cauldron Born touches one of the Horn King soldiers and he dies instantly. I don't know if he decays or if he turns into a skeleton or whatever. Yeah.
The first test screening at Disney, parents ran out of the theater with their children because it was so scary. I'm like, wow, I want to see that. Can I see that version, please?
Tell me about it. I mean, come on. We'll never get it. We're lucky we have this version available.
Oh, come on. Disney, you need some cash.
No, they don't. They
need some cash right now.
They're not.
Just put this on DVD, the whole film, and re-release it. Come on.
I'd love to see it happen. They're not going to do that. I don't think we're not going to see Song of the South anytime soon. I try to remember other forbidden Disney films. Return to Oz is another. And I think that is on the Disney Plus. I don't think that's ever gotten a DVD release. They did show that on the Disney Channel, though, a lot. That's how I saw it. But I don't think this one ever even showed up on the Disney Channel. You figured, hey, because you had to subscribe to the Disney Channel back in the day. So in a way, this whole Disney Plus thing is sort of what they were starting out doing back in the 80s. The big thing Disney did back in the 80s were the parks. The parks were a big deal. It opened up Epcot. I think by the end of the decade or by early in the 90s, they brought the Hollywood studios. So the big thing Disney did were the parks. They did have some big movies. Tron was a big deal when it came out. People forget this now, but the original Tron actually did do pretty good box office, and Ebert and Siskel really liked that movie, but this one, no. So I think, are we getting introduced to Gurgi's theme at this point in the movie?
We are. What do you think of Gurgi?
I like him. Everybody attacked him. They called him the most annoying character on the screen.
Like the Jar Jar Binks of the movie?
I think so. I think there is a Jar Jar Binks going on with this. And I'm trying to think. Soundtrack.
He's got a strong ending, though, in this film. I mean, I didn't see that coming. I was like, wow.
And that didn't happen in the book. It's a different character that throws himself into the cauldron. in the second book. I'm not going to spoil it for people that want to read the novels, but it's not Gurgi. And it's, yeah, I mean, that's a big deal for a Disney movie. I mean, you know, I guess this is one of the darker Disney movies. I think they were using Sleeping Beauty as a kind of a reference point, because if you look at Sleeping Beauty, that has kind of a dark tinge to it too. Maleficent, you know, the castle and that. So I think they were taking some cues from that for this film, but I don't know.
To me, it feels more like a Don Bluth film than a Disney film.
It does, and I want to find out if Don Bluth could have. I wonder if he worked on this or if he left before this went into production.
He started production on it, but then he left.
Yeah. This had a trouble production. Yeah.
Yeah, it began in '73 on production.
I think you have some animation done on it that was done years earlier for other animation. I believe the scene we saw with the Horn King, I believe that was done. Probably it could have been much prior to this. Like I said, this is what I call a dark age of Disney movie. We have others. Oliver and Company, I believe, came out after this. Great Mouse Detective was another one, and they both didn't do great at the box office, but they were at least more respected by the media. This one, just, I don't know. Nobody liked it. But yeah, this is terrifying. You have these what are they called? The Griffics, I think, in this movie. I think in the books they're like these flying dragon type creatures. It's
Well, what's your timestamp?
Oh, I'll let you know. I might be off on you. Hold on. I got to turn the Xbox controller back on. But yeah, the pig's running away from the Griffics. Is that where you are?
Yeah, I'm probably like 10 seconds behind.
I am 1624.
Okay,
probably close enough.
This is horrifying with the dragon stealing the pig, but it looks amazing on film.
Melissa Harris says, I miss ABC's Wonderful World of Disney that used to air Saturday night. Yeah. Okay, Melissa Harris says they showed it on 2 Disney. That's Disney XD now. Okay. So yeah, I guess they've probably relented since then. They don't hate this movie as much as they used to. But as I said, I don't remember a ton of merchandising. It's interesting though. If you go to the YouTube channel, I believe it's called Defunct Land. Have you ever heard of it? It's a wonderful YouTube. Yeah. It's a wonderful YouTube channel that talks about theme park rides that have gone bye-bye. Okay, or attractions, and he mentions one of the ones that takes place in Tokyo Disneyland, and over there in Tokyo. Disneyland or World? I think it's Disneyland over there. Tokyo Disneyland. The castle they have over there is no, it's not Cinderella's castle, Sleeping Beauty's castle. But they used to have a tour that ran underneath, and it was all the dark Disney stuff underneath the castle, like the dungeons. And I believe they had a lot of Black Cauldron stuff under there. And it was actually kind of a creepy attraction they had there that was kind of a secret, you know. I think they got rid of it since then, but I believe the Horn King was one of the featured attractions down there, and also I think the demon from Night on Bald Mountain was there.
He's kind of creepy.
Oh yeah, I mean Disney has a dark edge. It's one of my issues I have with modern Disney is that I mean Disney villains used to be a big deal. They used to always be scary. Okay, I mean even a few years later with Ursula the Sea Witch from Little Mermaid, she's creepy. And I feel these days they're kind of afraid to do these scary villains like they used to. Look at this shot, though, with the castle. Come on.
Yeah.
And he's climbing out the multi-planes. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, that's one of the best pieces of animation I've seen, I think. Okay.
I really enjoyed that magenta skyline from the scene.
Yeah.
Prior.
Yeah, that was real too. They used real cloud footage, I think, on the animated background. I think it works. I found it very convincing. But yeah,
there's the Otis Marta whatever, the creepy sounding instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one article on moviewave.net mentions the somewhat unusual score was composed by veteran Elmer Bernstein, who had enjoyed his experience scoring his first animation, Heavy Metal, a couple years earlier. While the 1980s are generally remembered as a relatively unhappy time for the composer, stuck in a rut of comedies he didn't really want to work on, the first half of the decade also featured a cycle of scores for sci-fi fantasies, as well as Heavy Metal came Saturn III and Space Hunter. I think the result were a bit variable, some stunning music, some questionable music too. This score sits probably in the middle of that range, not unusual for an animated music shifting between styles to an occasionally jarring degree, but featuring a number of good set pieces from some surprisingly well-developed themes. This is also in the CD booklet as well. Also a very sweet love theme for Elanwi, which sounds uncanny like the wonderful song "Tell Me It's Not True" from the musical Blood Brothers. Okay.
Do you enjoy the Entrada release that you have more than you do the score in the movie?
Well, they're about the same, really.
Okay.
It's actually very faithful to what we're hearing in the movie. Okay. Except I think we have the complete track of the Cauldron Born scene, which is not in the movie because they had to cut that part out where one of the undead kills one of the soldiers. But I remember loving this theme though, with the I don't know, like the Celtic song playing as you have these gross looking soldiers, falling over that dancing woman. Here we have the introduction of the Horn King.
And his intro music's pretty stout.
I think it's terrifying. I mean, it does sound like something out of Ghostbusters. He shows up. Even the dog drops his bone. I mean, this is. And I wonder if this is Creeper's theme here. I'm not sure. Where it's kind of a little whimsical after we get the terrifying Horn King theme.
He's definitely the comic relief.
Yeah, he's the henchman of this movie. Some kind of goblin character. I don't think he was in the book, but I do appreciate his presence in this movie. And we're wondering at this point, like, how bad is the Horn King? He's not saying much. He's just sitting on his throne.
You see his hands right there doing this.
Yeah.
He's all cast in shadow.
And what do they do? I think they give the Henwin a bunch of wine to do the thing, to do the oracle thing through.
Yeah, I don't want my pig to be drunk when he's trying to tell me the future.
Yeah, I know. It's like.
And I'm pretty sure here a pig doesn't need to drink any alcohol anyways.
No. Show us swine. Okay. Threatening Henwin with a hot well. There's a lot of music in this movie, actually, don't you think?
There is. The Entrada release is 75 minutes. The film is like 90 something minutes.
Yeah, so this is a fairly almost every scene has music in it. I mean, they didn't. It's not like these 70s scores we've been hearing. Okay. I could argue that the score in a way is telling the movie story in a way too. Yeah. I mean, just there, Taran's trying to fight the guy off with a broom, and it kind of comes to abrupt stops when the guy just, the soldier just, knocks the top of the broom off.
Does the Horn King, does he look like he's drawn a different style to you from
yes.
Taran?
What do you mean drawing a different style? He looks like he's drawing a different style depending on the scene we see him in.
That's true. Right here, I get more of like a 40s, 50s vibe than I do a 1980s vibe.
I suspect. Well, I do think that they were trying to go for an old school look for this movie in some ways, but I'm telling you, I wish I'd done more research on it. But I believe reading years ago, because I used to be fascinated by this movie. I read up on it. I think there were animation sequences on this movie made years apart. Okay, I think a lot of the Horn King stuff was done years apart from like the other stuff. So they might have been going for a different style in the beginning. But yeah, I need to watch Return to Oz again too sometime soon, because I've been curious to revisit that one as well. And that's, as far as I know, that's never gotten a release. Disney has all these movies they're embarrassed about. I think like the Black Hole's another one that they don't like.
I love that film.
Oh yeah, it's a fascinating film, but I think that's one of these ones where I don't know if if it's too weird compared to what people would expect from Disney. This is terrifying. I mean, he looks undead himself. I don't know. I'm trying to even remember in the book if they explained what his deal was.
Maybe you just need some skin conditioner, you know?
Yeah, okay. He doesn't like getting splashed in the face with that stuff. So look. Oh, I used to have this movie memorized because when I got the VHS, I kept watching it over and over again. And I wonder too if it's because this was my Disney childhood movie, and Disney was telling me I wasn't allowed to watch it for so long. So I think I became a fierce defender of it, even though
I don't think I have a Disney movie that I would call my Disney movie.
I don't know. I would argue probably my favorite of the Disney animated is still Dumbo, because I did see that when I was really young, and I think I identified it a lot with the character too in that. I'm still waiting for the good professor to do his review of the remake.
I thought he did one already.
He says he owns it. He hasn't done the review, and I'm keeping my mouth shut because I want him to go into it with eyes unclouded. But I'm very curious about it. I have my own opinions on it, but I won't share them out loud until I get to hear what the professor has to say. All right, but I'm thinking too, knocking the pig out. I'm thinking, would I survive that fall? Maybe. How high up are they? I guess they don't have a choice. How deep is the moat? You know? I don't. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm here. I guess it's the moat or this guy. I'm thinking, okay, I'll choose the moat. But it's like it's.
I think like 200 feet. It's like the magic number. Like anything above that, you're just screwed.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how deep the water is.
Exactly. There was I remember a wonderful Hong Kong action movie I watched called Above the Law. Not the Seagal movie, but another one where the movie ends with the guy who was kind of a corrupt. He was like a vigilante type guy. He jumps out of the copter in it. And as soon as he hits the water, he's done. He's dead. Okay. I mean, he didn't have a choice because the copter was going to crash, but he was too high up to survive the fall. And
Troy says there was a couple of plushies for this film.
There probably were. I don't know if this was a year we had gone to Disney or not. Because even when I lived in New Jersey, we would go to Disney like every 4 or 5 years or so. Okay, it wasn't a yearly thing, but like every 4 or 5 years, we might take a trip down to Orlando, go to Disney. And I remember going to Epcot early on. I have to tell you, Epcot early on was fascinating. It was like stepping into the future back in the early '80s, and it doesn't feel as that so much now. But I remember back in the '80s when all those attractions, it really was a modern World's Fair.
There's a couple of Funko Pops
of the Black Cauldron. I'm sure there are now. Finding merchandise for this movie's tough, though. I do remember a Disney Villains chess set, and I believe on the side of on one of the chess set villain side there was the Horn King as the king. Okay. And I think I don't know who the queen was. Maybe it was the queen from Snow White as the queen. And I don't know what they did for the other side. Probably Scar was a king on the other side because he was a king in the Lion King. But I do know the Horn King makes a cameo in one of the Mickey Mouse Illusion games on the Sega Master System. I think he's one of the villains you fight at the end of the game. But not a lot. I think there was a Black Cauldron PC game that got released. I don't know if that was any good or not. It might have been like a point-click adventure style game, which I think would actually suit this pretty well. But I remember, though, if you think about the 80s, though, there are a lot of these kind of dark children's fantasy movies out and about. Labyrinth.
80s kids were tough.
The 80s kids were tough.
We knew how to live. We didn't wear helmets to ride bicycles. We didn't have any of that. No.
Nope. No helmets to wear. No. Actually, I think I did have pads for soccer. Now that I think about it, yeah, I did. Okay, I did have the pads for soccer, but that was another thing in the '80s. Soccer. They kept trying to get us all to play soccer. I was a terrible defense too. I'll admit that now. Okay, there. This castle looks like it's about to fall apart.
Don't all castles look that way?
Kind of, yeah. I suppose so. But
now,
yeah, this
would you call this like the love theme right here?
I think so. Is this the Elanwi theme?
Yeah,
The
but
do do
it's
do
still
do
got
do.
the little spooky air to it.
Yeah. In fact, let me see if I have a soundtrack describer on here. Like I said, finding information on this is not the easiest thing in the world.
Now he's gonna find a pretty top notch sword here in a second.
This is quite a find. This is like when you're playing a Zelda game and you find that item in the dungeon, that you really need. That's what it's reminding me of, I like what the intro to this CD says, though. At the time of the film's theatrical run, a re-recording of selections from the score was released. This release from Disney and Entrada features the premiere release of the original soundtrack restored and remastered under the direction of Disney's Randy Thornton. Okay, so Disney actually got involved with this release, too. And it says, the Black Cauldron represented a grand experiment by the new, younger creative team at Disney Animation, who would soon produce such hits as The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, and Beauty and the Beast, while maintaining the spirit of classically produced animation that had begun with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Okay. But I like when he says to her, when she says, are you a lord or a warrior? And he goes, I'm an assistant pig keeper. And it's like, I give him
no shame in that. There's no shame in that.
I give him points for honesty. That was a thing in the books too. It's like, I got to be an assistant pig keeper. I believe, spoiler alert, in the novels, you learn later on that he actually is a member of royalty, but he's been, I think he's been kept in hiding by that old wizard guy. Okay. Because because I think the guy because I think they were afraid he would get assassinated. Okay. So he didn't know what his true origin was. And maybe it's, so I think he was a royalty. I think he was a lord, but of course he doesn't know it now, I love the dogs in this, huh?
Yeah. I do like that dog.
I love how he does, oh, you're a nice little, and he does the whistling, and it just, flute or flam. That is in the book. The bard will break a string every time he tells a lie, which I think is fascinating. Okay.
That's what was going on. I couldn't figure out if it was talking to him or what the deal was.
It has some semi-intelligence, I think. It'll break. And I think in the book too, I think in some points they each get a kind of like in Wizard of Oz, they each get like a reward for something. Gurgi gets a bag that will always give him food. The only trouble is the food has no taste.
Oh.
So if he's starving or whatever, this will nourish him and keep him well, but it doesn't have any flavor. Okay. So he still likes his crunchings and munchings elsewhere, but I think that was given to him because he was always hungry. So someone gave him this magic bag that gave him food. But
what's the princess's story in the book?
I don't remember. It's been a while. She is a princess. I suspect she and Taran eventually marry when they're older. I need to read the final book to find out. I know that she wasn't in the fourth novel, and the author on purpose kept her away to kind of, make Taran long for her a bit more. Oh, she had the villain in the third novel was a relation of Princess Elanwi's. It might have been her aunt. I remember that now. And I don't think she was working for the main bad guy, which was an evil king that was trying to take over the kingdom, I think. It's been so long since I've read these books. I should reread them now. A lot of score in this, though. Every time, you hear just for the instruments, you hear that axe coming down. It's like,
and it's punctuated. Each axe hit. It's got the punctuation from the score.
I imagine they probably had the whole thing animated, and Elmer Bernstein probably scored it based around what he saw in the animation, right?
Yeah, and then I read that they had to chop it up when they started cutting down.
That meant the score had to get chopped up too. Yeah. That's a pity. That they say that never happens in animation. They say that
once you got it, it's there. They don't start cutting stuff out.
I don't know if that's ever happened in other animated movies, but yeah. Let me check on the chat though. But yeah, I should read you the list of tracks in a minute on this Entrada release.
I remember because you've been telling me about this for like a while now, And I've been looking at it because Entrada still had it in stock, and I was like, yeah, I'll get it. Now it's sold out, and everybody on eBay wants like 3 figures for it, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, Troy is contradicting me. You said the Return Oz was never released on DVD. It's on both Disney DVD and Blu-ray. What? I'm going to look for that right now because I might buy myself a copy of it. I didn't realize that. When did this happen? I'm usually up on Blu-ray releases. That's why I'm shocked that I'm not in DVD releases. I'm shocked I didn't hear about this. Unless they gave it little fanfare. Return to Oz. Let me see. Wait a minute. This looks fishy to me. All right, we'll save this for another time.
I do love the heroic sound that they've got going here.
Oh, yeah. This is the, in fact, what is this called? What is this theme called? Lord, I'm straining my eyes here. Escape.
Now, did the Utah Symphony do the film score for the movie, or did they just do the rescore for the soundtrack release?
Hold on. Let me look at my booklet. I don't think this was a rescore. Hold on. Let me take a look. Let's see what it says in here for this release. All right, the one who remastered it. Truth be told, I hadn't seen the Black Cauldron nor heard its score until I began working on the soundtrack. Not only was I excited to get the score released for the very first time, I was even more thrilled to work on an Elmer Bernstein score. As I went through the recording sessions and began to listen to the music, it was everything I expected: charming melodies and dramatic themes. Hold on, let me look down here. For the CD, we went back to the original session multi-tracks, cleaning and restoring each track before mixing and mastering. Compared to the previous soundtracks I've restored, mainly the early Disney classics and the more contemporary The Black Hole, this was a relatively easy restoration. We only encountered one problem, but it was a doozy. Oh, sorry about this. All right. Q3M3 in the forest. I had severe dropout in the recording. Actually, it sounded like someone punched into the record for a moment as the music abruptly cut out. Then a brief, 1K tone burst on before cutting back into the music. It sounded like an accident. So we found an alternative take of the same cue and patched the damage. Simple enough. Oh, that's interesting. So there was damage to the original take, but they basically used an alternate take and kind of mixed the two of them. Isn't that interesting? So it wasn't rescored.
Okay.
And this was Randy Thornton, producer, January 12th, 2012. Interesting. Here we have Creeper wanting to choke his own neck. Okay, Okay, he'll find his pig.
That's kind of like when your grandparent says, "You go get your own Switch," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Wait, what do you mean? Go get your own what?
Switch. You never got a spanking as a child?
Oh, that's what they called it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have when I was younger. I don't remember. Yeah, go do it yourself. Okay.
I do like those dragons.
Yeah, and I don't think they're exactly dragons. There's some other creature that was invented in the books. I think they're called Griffics. So I don't know if it's like a mixture. It almost sounds like Griffin, but
that's probably more Welsh than dragon.
Probably.
Like
I know that
Lloyd,
he probably did research into Welsh mythology, found stuff that. Oh, look at that. Those his pants ain't doing so well.
Yeah, not very good sewing.
Imagine back in the Middle Ages, you had the one pair of pants, and you were lucky to have that, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Melissa Harris says 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s are my favorite eras. For what? Disney? Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Yeah, happy Veterans Day. I didn't think we could have done a war movie today.
Yeah, we could have.
Oh well, there'll be other opportunities for that, I'm sure.
And speaking of Veterans Day, I want to give a shout out to my bestest friend Jonathan. It's his birthday. He is a number today. We shall not disclose, but happy birthday if you're listening. It's been a great time so far. Let's keep it going. Let's double the number we got on the board today.
That sounds like a plan. The last movie I saw in a movie theater was a war movie. It was 1917. It was the last movie I saw in the theater.
They're re-showing that at the theater this week, and I was thinking about going because I missed out the first.
I would recommend it. It's a good theatrical experience. I would recommend it. Yeah. If you feel like, yeah.
I saw Red October last Sunday.
I should go catch a movie. I didn't even catch the Lupin movie they released. I need to. I don't know. I haven't gone to see a movie theater since the pandemic.
It's great. There's like 2 other people in there with me.
I should give it a try.
There. Yeah.
Maybe next time I get some days off, maybe I'll just go catch a movie. That might be an idea.
I'm seeing Flash Gordon on Sunday.
Flash Gordon.
Yes, Flash Gordon.
That has a good. You know what? I have the score to that. We might have to do a rewatch of that someday.
Flash Gordon. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, but maybe. Oh man, because I have the Queen score for that.
Oh, you know what we were talking about the box office for this. The Care Bear movie made more money that year than this movie.
I have to say I tried watching the Care Bear movie just for a lark, and I made it like 5 minutes in. And it's like, I'm stopping this now. This was like a couple of years ago because the library had them. Like, okay, I'm curious as to how this movie was and I'm watching it for 5 minutes. And one of the things I notice about the witch, witches are supposed to come in 2 varieties. Okay, you have either the crone witch or the sexy witch. Okay, and Care Bears just has a generic witch in the middle. I'm not liking that at all. Come on.
It's like a non-binary witch.
I don't know. Just like not impressive on either spectrum. Okay. You know, she either has to be really hideous or really hot. Okay. That's the rule. But it's, I couldn't get through that. You see, you're talking about Care Bears. You're talking about a lot of things from the 80s that were kind of foisted upon me that I couldn't stand. And I think I might have even lumped the Black Cauldron in with the other stuff, and that wasn't fair because it's like I only saw it once. And like you get older and you're thinking, did I like that movie as much as I think I did? This is going to be one of these movies you thought was good when you saw it as a kid and you watch it now and you're like, ugh, you know, like Howard the Duck, you know, sort of thing. It's like.
I enjoy Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Who have I had conversations with about that? I think I say there's half a good movie in there. And then the weird alien overlord show up. I've told Troy he has to do or Al or somebody has to do a rewatch of that. Actually, do you have the score to Howard the Duck?
I don't, but Entrada just released it, I think the spring or the fall.
I might think about getting that just as a lark.
John Barry did the score. It's supposed to be a very good film score.
Yeah, I got the Blu-ray for $5. They were something that the Blu-ray for $5. And I'm like, all right, so I mean, think about when this movie came out. What's the movie we all want to see on the big screen as fans of heroic fantasy? We want those Lord of the Rings movies. And I think we got the Ralph Bakshi movie, which I'm sorry. I don't have much nice things to say about that. But I was wanting to see well-done heroic fantasy movies. It's just that a lot of the 80s sword and sorcery movies are just all kind of these weird, bizarre movies. You have... Like, I think the most successful one probably was Conan the Barbarian. I think very few people said bad things about that, but it's like every other fan. Then you had like the children's fantasy movies that were like kind of in the same vein, like Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Neverending Story. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And here we go. We have the Fair Folk. Mm-hmm.
This does have some Lord of the Rings vibes to it, though.
It does, and you know darn well the people making this read Lord of the Rings, okay? And they're thinking, cool, we want to make an animated Lord of the Rings, but of course Tolkien would never sell, Tolkien, I want to say his name wrong, they made an argument he would never sell to Disney. Because I think Disney tried buying the rights, and it's like, no, it's not happening, not to The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And I think he didn't want, I think he didn't want the stuff getting Disneyfied. which I suppose this movie did. It's interesting. I don't see Disney, at least in more recent years, doing the animated adaptations of children's fantasy books. It was weird because Studio Ghibli kind of took that over. They were a Japanese animation studio, but they did Howl's Moving Castle. They did an Earthsea movie, which is not good. But you know, you think about Disney for a lot of the time, though, they would buy up rights to books and they would make movies based on them. You know,
I still think if they have the rights to this, I think they need to re-examine this.
This would be neat. Think about a Disney Plus series based on these books. That would be very interesting.
You got 5 books, you can do 5 seasons.
But I've argued if they've dropped the ball on Narnia, I don't see them picking this up. Okay, and this was sad because I actually really liked the Disney produced Narnia movies when they came out. I really liked the second movie, especially from an aesthetic design standpoint. I thought they did a great job, and I think Walden Studios got angry at Disney because they didn't want to give the third movie the budget it needed. So they went to 20th Century Fox, and 20th Century Fox gave them the funding they needed for the, I guess, the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And it's weird because now Disney, I think, owns that movie now because they bought out 20th Century Fox. So now that movie went back to Disney. But I don't know. Like I said, though, I don't see Disney. I don't. In fact, I'm trying to think there are any high fantasy books, movies, even in the works these days.
Aren't there? Did they officially announce a Willow sequel, or is that just talk?
No, the Willow. No, that's happening. That is officially happening. I have no idea what they're going to base it on. I know that there were a series of Willow books that were supposed to carry on the story, like when the
I think there's like 3 of them.
When Laura Darren's an adult, and or at least a teenager, I'm not sure. And I thought they could maybe use that as the basis for a series, but as we've seen with the Star Wars, they tend not to look at the expanded universe stuff. So I don't know what they're going to do. I tend not to get all excited about the streaming series like I would with movies. One of my issues with television is that you can get a bad season. Like I've known a lot of TV series that have that bad final season and everything falls apart.
Yeah.
But even if this movie had done well, I don't think we would have gotten a sequel because I don't think that was even on their mind back then. So, I don't know. You think about the Horn King smart. It's like just follow them. Hey, they're going to find the Black Cauldron for us, and we'll just steal it. Okay, you know.
It's the Renee Belloc track of getting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Are you getting any Indiana? I'm trying to think. What maybe more Star Wars cues in this than Indiana Jones cues, but you know, like with the magic sword and whatnot. But you know what's a fascinating animated movie to watch, and it's on the Prime streaming. I caught it for the first time. It's a movie called Star Chaser: The Legend of Orn, and it's basically a rotoscoped animated big budget feature that takes a bit from Star Wars, you know, but it's a science fiction movie, but it's interesting. And there's a score for that I'd be tempted to get, even though the movie was kind of hit or miss. But I think what a lot of these types of animated movies, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get like preteens interested in, not necessarily teenagers, but like that place between 10 and 12, you know. I think that's sort of where these movies are aimed at. And I just don't know if there ended up ever being an audience in that age range. That's why I remember when the Michael Bay produced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies came out. I know I might get flack from people in this community, but I actually thought they were fine for what they were. I know some people didn't like them, but I thought they were basically made for, you know, boys ages 10 to 12. Okay, that's what I thought they were made for.
I guess you have a point. Okay.
Because they were arguing, well, this is too violent for a kids movie. Well, they're made for boys of a certain age range. Okay. And that's what those movies were for. And I know people have issues with that, but I remember on the Red Letter Media of that one Turtles movie, they were going about how, well, this is awfully violent. And I'm thinking, yeah, but the one guy was saying, yeah, but these are some of the more competently shot action scenes I've seen in a movie in a while.
The
Even though,
original comic book was violent.
yeah, I mean, even the original 80s movie, too. 80s were a weird time to be a kid.
I'll take the 80s over the today's.
Oh, yeah, please. Don't even get me started. This decade's already off to a bad start, and we're not even a full year into it yet. I'm terrified as to what it holds. I didn't care for the 2010s, but the 2010s started out all right, and toward the end, I think when Disney went nuts and Bob Iger just kept buying up all the properties and then putting them in the hands of people that just didn't know what they were doing. But this is the part of the movie that this is my least favorite part in the movie. The witches.
The witches, yeah.
I find them annoying. I find the cleavage joke that's actually pushing it for a Disney movie too. The cleavage joke with when he turns to the frog and he's stuck in her cleavage. It's I don't know. But one of their voices sounds familiar. Was that the one who played Witch Hazel, or like the witches in like those old Donald Duck cartoons? In fact, I think the bonus on this disc is that old Trick or Treat Donald Duck cartoon with the witch, and I believe it's the same woman voicing the witch in that as voices one of the three witches in this.
All right, so you mentioned Trick or Treating. Is this a Halloween film?
Oh yeah, is this a Halloween movie? This is considered by people to be a kind of weird Disney Halloween movie. I've never considered it one. It didn't get released around Halloween. It was released during the summer blockbuster season. Okay,
it was.
This was a summer release.
Yeah,
this was a summer release. And we were going to theater. I was off school, went to the theater to see it. And yeah. Oh, I like Troy Pacelli. There's going to be that Tolkien series with nudity. I got a bad feeling about that Tolkien series. Yeah,
it's not here yet, so let's not
whatever.
say it's a sure thing.
We'll see what happens. Her teeth falls out when she tries biting his arm. Yes. Okay.
He reminds me of Dr. Smith a lot.
He does. He does have that kind of I'm wondering who did his voice. It could have been the same actor for all I know. Okay.
It wasn't. It was Nigel. Is it Nigel Hawthorne?
Oh, okay. Because I was like, he does. I mean, he's not a villain, but he has kind of that. His mannerisms are kind of like that.
Yeah.
Just I don't know the. I'll be kind. I don't want to say what. I don't want to call the one witch is after him, the wine ant. But anyway, it's. And now one wants toad stew. I don't get that. I have to tell you, I like the Princess and the Frog too, up until the point where they get turned into frogs and they're stuck in the bayou. Then that movie kind of starts to drag for me as well. And I don't know, it's something to do with frogs. I don't know. Just.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. I kind of missed that the first go around.
What? The cleavage joke?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on in this movie. I'll say this, it's well paced, but I think it's just. Am I supposed to be laughing at this? I don't know. It's like it's just weird. I don't. I do like that part though. When he gets turned back into a human, he still eats the fly.
Yeah, that's. I guess it takes a couple seconds for your brain to register you're not a frog anymore.
Yeah. What's the name of this track? The name of this track is Morva, I think. Morva. And then one's called The Deal. Basically, these all very basic titles as to what's going on. I do like the disc, though. You know what the disc looks like? It looks like the spiraling part of the cauldron when Henwin's trying to do the vision. When it turns that spiral, that's what it looks like.
Huh.
So that's kind of neat. I like it when discs, look like things from the movie. I wish they do that more. I remember for the horror movie Phantasm, the disc actually looked like the ball from the movie, the silver ball that flies around and attacks people. The disc looked like that. for an anime release for the Castle of Cagliostro, the Blu-ray disc looked like the emblem on the ring. Like there's like a circular emblem on the ring, and that's what the disc looks like. I like when the companies do stuff like that. I would imagine, I don't know if Star Wars discs ever looked like the Death Star, either on CD or physically, but I would imagine that would make sense, right?
I feel like I have one somewhere on one.
Yeah, I'm thinking one of the special edition Star Wars re-releases.
Yeah.
Look like the Death Star.
I was wondering, do you collect movie posters at all?
I do. Not always originals, because movie posters can get pricey.
Yeah.
What I currently have up this summer, and I will periodically change out my movie posters because I don't have enough room to keep them all up. But what I'll do is I'll change them. Okay, so for a while I had a poster up for Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, which is a real gut muncher horror movie. And I also had a poster up for the theatrical re-release of the animated movie Heavy Metal. But these are both re-release posters from the late 90s for these movies. And they really complemented each other because they were both re-release posters of movies that also came out the same year in the 80s, but they were the 90s re-release posters, and those I had a good look for them. But after this summer, when everything was going nuts with all the civil unrest, I said, we need Eastwood, okay? I need Eastwood posters on my wall, okay? So you can buy poster reproductions that are not terribly expensive, and I got a reproduction poster for Pale Rider, the Clint Eastwood movie Pale Rider, and also for the Dirty Harry movie The Deadpool, because I felt the Deadpool had the best poster. I have to say, though, they took a little longer to get the Deadpool poster to me, and I think that these were printed on demand because when you look at Dirty Harry's face, he looks kind of pixelated, you know? So it's not an original. And I may have to replace that someday. I don't know. We'll see. But
do you have Unforgiven?
I don't have the Unforgiven poster, but the Unforgiven poster wasn't the drawn art. I prefer theatrical posters with the cool, like when they're actually drawn. I mean, to be fair, photo posters can be neat too. And to be fair, I think the Deadpool is kind of a photo poster. It's kind of like a black and white photo of his face coming out from the darkness, and there's a gun in front of him. His Magnum is in front of him. And I don't know. You know, it's funny. I think there's like a Mexican version of this poster that's cheap, but it's Spanish language. But it has a neat. It says something different in Spanish language, like the doorway to hell or something. Like like it's some other translated instead of the Deadpool, it's something even scarier sounding. But yeah, I have a few movie posters. I remember specifically getting the Forbidden Planet special set because it came with a mail-in thing to get a movie a replica of the Forbidden Planet poster. Right? Have you ever seen that poster with Robbie the Robot holding the rather nice-looking woman in his arms?
Yes.
That's the 1950s poster, and I used to have that hanging up. And then The Big Bang Theory comes on the air. And that poster is hanging in the backdrop in every episode. And I'm like, I'm not keeping this poster up anymore. And
they stole your joy from you.
They stole my joy. Yeah, I used to have that and the re-release because I got the King Kong special set too, and I got the King Kong poster. And I used to have both the King Kong poster and the Forbidden Planet poster up side by side. Nope, that got ruined. And it's a pity, too, because I also got the Searcher special set, but I got it past the point where I could mail them for the poster. You know, the John Wayne movie? That would have been a cool poster to get, too, but no. So I have horror movie posters. I have posters for Japanese animation. I never got the poster for this. I couldn't find it cheap, okay?
I almost bought it for you like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you didn't have to go the trouble, but I appreciate that.
It was on Heritage Auctions, had it up that week. And I watched it all week, and I'm like,
don't pay through the nose.
I should get this for Age Boomer, but I never did because I just wasn't sure if you would like it, and I didn't want to.
Oh, it would have been nice. Don't go to the trouble, though. I mean, I have slowed down my movie poster buying in recent years, and what I have up right now is a replica anyway. It might be possible to get a replica poster of it now. The trouble is with replica posters is they're hit and miss. Like the Pale Rider one looks fine, but the Deadpool one, I think they had trouble with it. But the Pale Rider poster looks nice. Have you ever seen the Pale Rider movie poster? It's a
Yeah.
It's a beauty. It looks like the old fashioned parchment, like from the old west, and has Eastwood's face kind of coming out of it. And then you have like the villains on the bottom, like the evil gunslingers on the bottom, and it's yeah. But the poster for this is interesting, though. A lot of the time, too, though, when I do buy theatrical posters, too, even if you get an original poster, you're running the risk of it not being in great shape. Because let's face facts, people fold posters. I got a folded poster for that movie I was talking to Al about, Sword of the Valiant. I actually have the theatrical poster for that one too, but it was folded when I got it, and I bought that back in the early late '90s, I think. It's funny because I just got the Blu-ray for that movie recently. That's another '80s sword and sorcery movie. But
what's the little creature's name again?
Creeper and Gurgi.
Gurgi.
Yeah, they were the. Mm-hmm.
Gurgi really does really does care about him. He's a good little furry friend.
Yeah, I mean, Gurgi gets attacked all the time. Gurgi wanted friends, and of course, Taran's angry with him. I meant to mention that scene when I was talking about posters. I think the Gurgi offers up his the skeleton, what's left of his apple, and I'm like, who would want that? And the one says, "Not so fast, sister." And she eats it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. All right. I love. Have you ever watched the animated series Justice League? This reminds me of a scene on the animated series Justice League when the aliens take over the Earth and the Imperium before the Imperium shows up, and the one alien says, I think he says maybe he says Earth's mightiest heroes or Earth's greatest heroes, and Wonder Woman and Superman and all of them are all tied up, and like he's mocking them, and that's kind of reminds me of this scene, when the Horn King's mocking them. Arise, my messengers of death. This is terrifying. I mean, it's a kid's movie. Come on. Kids were made of stern stuff. This is a Gen X child movie.
This is what caused parents to run out right here.
Yeah, I mean, this is Gen X. Look at this. The skull forms in the smoke. You know this is bad. In these movies, you're up against terrifying evil that you're probably
it's a melting skull too.
Okay? Yes, and it's like, oh,
the little green foggy mist comes out.
Oh yeah, Melissa, I hate the Harley Quinn animated series. I've watched clips of it. No. I also make a point that a lot of modern animation, especially by Americans places, is cheap looking. Okay, at least for the animated series they do now. I mean, there are probably exceptions to this. I think that Tartasspi series that's out now, I think it's Primal, and I think that's supposed to be good, but I don't know. I'm just not impressed. Look at this, though. Yeah, this is the part where I think they cut it right there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I think somebody uncovered storyboards or animatics that show that part. I wonder if they're on here. I don't think they are. I don't think Disney would give us that treat, would they?
I still say, hey, make some extra bucks. Just release the whole film as it was on.
There was another
there
was another fantasy animated movie at the time called The Last Unicorn. That was done by the I think the same animation team that helped work on the Hobbit animated movie, for TV. And there was some actual nudity in that movie, and I think that got censored in release after release. And then finally on the Blu-ray release, they restored it to its original form but this happens with some animated movies from that era. Yeah, there were all these forbidden animated movies you couldn't watch. You couldn't watch this. Heavy Metal was unavailable for ages, and that was due actually to soundtrack rights because there's a lot of rock songs in that movie. And I think what happened was Sony ended up buying so much music and since they also own Columbia Pictures, and that was a Columbia Pictures movie, they ended up actually having the rights to use the music finally, because they ended up buying so much music later on, but for a while it was just, you couldn't see that movie. I think I saw it aired on regular TV once with all the good stuff cut out, This was another one. I mean, you had a lot
Yeah, I really like Gurgi right here. I think he's a pretty stand-up little furry creature.
yeah, he's helping him out. Taran's just was bent out of shape. You know, I'm not gonna go so far as to say he's a, you know, like he's a jerk, because I mean, you know, that one scene where they were, you know, where I think he was actually being truthful when he says thank you all, you know. But you know, when you're an assistant pig keeper, you got a chip on your shoulder, you know.
Yeah,
Gurgi, get out. Like, oh, he's gonna do the heroic act, okay?
yeah, and he's like, you know, if you have friends, I don't have any friends, so I'll do it.
And that's actually
Uh,
that's really sad
I'm
when he
just
says
like,
that.
ouch. Yeah,
If I don't, we're all lost. And then he decides, out of my way, okay. Of course, that's what a hero does.
yeah.
Hero will be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. Of course, I'm a big believer you should try to find something else to do. You know.
And you know, and that seems very hardcore for a Disney film.
Yep. Look at this. Okay, but it stops it. In the book, when someone does that to the cauldron to put an end to everything and destroy the object, okay, you know, the cauldron like screams and like moans and falls apart into pieces. Okay, like it doesn't get resuscitated. You know, it's not a thing again after that.
Would the sword that he gave away, would that have destroyed it?
No, there's a
No.
rule. It
Okay.
has to be a living creature has to give its life willingly by throwing itself in the cauldron to destroy it. I think. I don't remember the rule now.
So if they remade this, they could make him a girl and
Oh, please. They already have I don't even like the term strong female protagonist, but they have they have a woman here that's essential to this story. She was almost at the forefront as much. I mean, he's the main character, but she's there. Yeah, they would do, they just, someone's made an argument too with all those Studio Ghibli animated movies. Oftentimes there was a female in the main role, but it's not something that feels forced, you know, because those are
yeah.
original things, you know. Okay, he's getting angry here. He's got the glowing red eyes. He's mad.
But see, they do him in such dark colors, and the little toady creatures in more primary colors.
Yeah. Well, you can't even really see the Lord of the Horn King clearly in a lot of scenes. He's kind of subdued. You know, there's something bad under there. Okay. He's wanting to throw him right in there. He's mad. Okay.
I liked how he just ended up getting sucked in, though. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. This is one of the most violent things I've seen in Disney animation. Though I still might argue one of the most violent deaths I've seen in a Disney cartoon was actually on Tron Uprising.
What happened there?
Well, there was a scene. People, you know how like in the movies too, people get de-resed, right? Okay. It looks like they're shattering into glass. If you ever saw Tron Legacy, the way programs die is it looks like they're getting shattered into particles, you know, kind of like they're being shattered into glass, you know, like silicon pieces. Well, on the cartoon, there was this one character that they were hoping would join the resistance, but she just wanted out and wanted to go back to becoming, you know, joining up with the, you know, the authoritarian regime that was in the grid, right? And she goes up to the general, and they think the pass off has happened. She just wants to come back, and they, you know, she wants the amnesty or whatever, you know. And she comes back, and when no one's around, the general takes her head and de-reses her on the spot, and she screams horribly. And it's like this one of these episodes where you thought like, oh, you know, okay, because I think the good guy was going to try to force her to stay with the rebellion, but he decided no, she doesn't want to be here, and he would facilitate her going back, and then she just ends up getting killed when she goes back, you know. And that was kind of interesting. That was like one of the last I think animated series I ever saw that I really liked, and I thought it was interesting that they went there. It would have its violent moments, and granted, it's a program, not a person, but I mean, it's basically a person. You just got to see killed on screen there.
Hello, Sound Engraver. Thank you for dropping by.
No. Hello, Sound Engraver. This is a great score. Have you ever seen this Disney movie, Sound Engraver? The Black Cauldron. You might want to give it a look. It's an interesting movie. Maybe you've read the books, The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. Are you feeling bogged down at this point in the movie? The bad guy's gone, but they're still trying to escape the castle. I mean, we know
I think that's a good touch. It's like, hey, it's not over yet.
It's not over yet. And to be fair, we know that characters can get killed up to this point because we've already seen one happen. So I'm thinking maybe Fluter. It's like something will fall on his head while he's trying to get Carvin into the boat. I don't know. But no, they make it out. I think they're just trying to make a point. This is kind of a world fraught with peril, though. This is not a.
It's not a children's movie, is what you're saying.
No, I would argue too that this was kind of made for the boys. Okay, like I argue that I think you have a general audience, but then you lean more toward either sex in one direction. Like when you're making a movie, I know they try to make things for all people these days, which usually ends up making it fall flat on its face. But I think this was supposed to be a Disney animated feature for boys, but I don't know how. I guess all the boys were going to see the Care Bears movie at this moment. I'm kidding. I don't know. That was a thing back then. They kept trying to shove things on me. Like I remember people were trying to convince me to get a Cabbage Patch doll. And it's like I didn't really want a Cabbage Patch.
You could get a Cabbage Patch doll in 1985, then props to you.
Oh my word. They're talk about horror stories. The toys we had in the 80s had horror stories associated with them. I think somebody got trampled to death during a run in Cabbage Patch dolls. It's horrible. Terrifying.
Several people.
I mean, come on. It's just an ugly doll. I was more into the Garbage Pail Kids cards,
Yeah, Garbage Pails was banned from my Catholic school.
Interesting. Okay.
We were not allowed to have them.
And I think I was still in public school at that point, but they didn't like them there either. Yeah. Oh, Sound Engraver. I saw Black Cauldron a long time ago. It's dark. I read the first book around 13 years ago, though I don't remember. Oh, I'm surprised you didn't. Yeah, I mean, Lloyd Alexander. He's a good writer. But we never give anything away. We bargain, we trade. Yeah, see, in the book, when the person throws themselves in, it's a permanent thing. And I think the person was already at death's doors. He had a severe wound dealt to him that he wasn't going to recover from. And I think he figured, I'm just throwing myself in there to stop this mess. Okay, because I think the worry was, even if the bad king didn't get it, maybe the good guys would try using it to their ends. And it's like, we just got to destroy this thing. Kind of like the One Ring. We got to get rid of it. Okay. Magnificent sword for a warrior. I'm trying to remember if this was even in the books. I don't remember. I'm trying to think when those books were written. Give me a minute. Book of 3 was the first one. What was the big movie of summer of when this come out?
85.
I'll have to find out what the other big movies.
Care Bears.
Oh, for the love of Pete.
Was Top Gun 85 or 86?
Oh, no, that was a big deal when it came out. No, that's nice. When was it published? That's the 2006 edition. 1964 it was written. Curious. When was the Black Cauldron written? Because I'm thinking that, Walt Disney himself might have facilitated purchasing the rights to these books. Okay. Probably because he couldn't get the rights to Lord of the Rings. Yes, that makes sense now.
Back to the Future, 1985.
That
Goonies,
was
1985. Breakfast
okay. I
Club,
saw both.
1985.
Okay, that was a big year for movies. Okay.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Clue, Fletch, Pale Rider, Spies Like Us, Weird Science, Out of Africa. Wow, Out of Africa did $227.5 million.
Okay, 1964, 1968, that's when the book series was written. I Bet You Ready Money, Walt Disney or someone close to him recommended buying this series to make into a movie. He, of course, passed away, I think, right around the time The Jungle Book came out, I think, or soon after. So, yeah, by the time the 60s were done, he was no longer with us. And I have a heavy suspicion that if he was trying to get the rights to Lord of the Rings, this was probably considered to be the next best thing he could do. So, okay. I have no factual thing, anything to back that up, but I bet that. We get Gurgi back. Kind of weird. We get a resurrection. Of course, I could argue if he died by magic, maybe he's brought back by magic. I don't know. Again, not
That
in the
makes
book.
sense. I'm okay
Not
with that.
Not in the book, though. Okay. There is no bringing people back in. I mean, that was the whole point. The guy who was kind of a jerk in the book, he does do a heroic gesture by the end. Okay, and it was a different character that wasn't in these movies.
Gurgi's Happy Day. That's right. Bounce around.
Yep. And there they go. And there's Fluter. And it's weird because Fluter is younger in the books. I'm telling you. I think he's a little older than Taran, but he's like a couple years older. But he's not, you know.
You think they just made him old because they got an
Maybe
older actor?
they didn't want it to seem like there was going to be a love triangle with Elanwi. I don't know. I'm forgetting if he got set up with somebody else in the book too. I don't know. But okay. And Dobby's there for some reason. I think Dobby was a bigger deal in the books. He was around all the time too. He was a member of the Fair Folk. Okay. I like these. I like the credits on this. I like the suite too.
I would have liked more of the pig character, but
yeah. Well, it's a pig though. I mean, what state are you from again?
Alabama.
Okay. So I was about to say that Joe Bob Briggs always made an argument that that in Arkansas the worship of the pig is the state religion. Okay, because he was originally from Arkansas. But I don't know. But what was I going to say though? But I don't like to get too close to pigs because I tend to eat a lot of them. Okay.
Yeah, there's a pig that's at the boarding daycare place I use on occasion.
Oh, I see.
He's not very friendly. He will bite you.
Well, yeah, they can be. I mean, I'll be blunt here. Down here where I'm from, Florida, we got wild boars running about. Okay, we got
they are not friendly at all.
Wild pigs. I was in a nature reserve. I was sitting at a picnic table just by myself once, and I hear this, and I'm looking across, and a whole troop of them were walking down the path that you can walk down, and I just stayed perfectly still, and they didn't notice me, and they just went on their merry way. And I have a feeling that guy was the guy running. I don't know what if you call what you call a group of pigs. Is it a pack or a troop or something? I don't know, but it's like, don't get in their way. Okay. That's how I felt. I didn't leave right away either. I figured let's give it some time for the pigs to go and go do what they got to do. Okay. But yeah, now I got barbecue on my mind. Thank you. Okay.
I had barbecue for dinner.
Lucky you. Okay. I had a lean cuisine meal. Yay.
Ew.
Yeah, I know.
I like the piano right here.
Yeah. I had some good food over the weekend, though. What did I have? I had scallops. They were all right. They were $10 scallops. They were only okay. I prefer ones with a sweeter flavor to them, though. But I had sloppy Joe over the weekend. That wasn't bad. Okay, well, there's the Graphics. I do like all these boards, though. Do you know what they have that I'm tempted to buy? Whatever algorithm is working must know me because they keep advertising these Tarna action figures from the movie Heavy Metal. And I don't usually buy too many action figures, but they also had like posters And they have like a poster board that's like from the pinball game they recently released for the heavy metal, and it has Tarna and like the World War II soldier zombies on it, and it's like it. I don't know. I'm tempted to pick that one up, so we'll see. I may pick that one up before the end of the year. Tales from the Crypt HBO, Tales from the Dark Side, Twilight Zone movie. Twilight Zone movie is hit and miss for me. I do not like the Spielberg segment in the Twilight Zone movie. It's weird when you're dieting, you think about the stuff that you want the most, and for some reason, I'm thinking of a jelly donut right now is what I would like the most right now. It's weird how that works. Okay. Da, da, da. Well, back. Surprising the credits are so short, considering that this was a huge production.
Yeah,
there we
it
have
was.
it, Black Cauldron. Great score by Elmer Bernstein. Sorry, I didn't have more to say on it, but there's not a ton on it. But I will say I did hunt for the score for years. And then Entrada announced they were going to release it and said, "Do you really want to buy it?" And it says, "You're going to regret not buying it if you don't buy it." And I acquiesced. And I had gotten their heavy metal soundtrack. I believe they're the ones that did the heavy metal soundtrack. No, heavy metal score. Oh, there are missing scenes on the DVD. Look at this. What am I looking at here? Tracks, Skirgy, remember. Unless this is some stupid game they're having me play on the DVD. Something's bizarre. This is probably... A lot of these older Disney DVDs would stick some kind of a point-click game on them. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. Okay. Oh, I see. It is a missing storyboard. They don't have the story. Oh, yeah. They have missing stuff on here that was cut out of the movie in the storyboard form where you're seeing the animatics. But I don't think they have the Cauldron Born part. They have other ones that they missed out. Like there's this thing, I think, where they're trying to find the fair folk. They have more stuff there. Okay, so they have the Donald Duck short Trick or Treat for Halloween on this disc. I kind of wish they had the Donald Duck cartoon with the gorilla. Did you ever see that one?
No.
A gorilla has escaped from the zoo. It's a terrifying story because basically the gorilla is the monster in that story. You know, it's another one that they would include on the Halloween specials. Okay,
I haven't seen a lot of Disney stuff.
A lot of the old shorts, if they had them on Disney Plus, I really recommend them. They're very charming. Not charming, but like the Donald Duck cartoons, you have to understand that Mickey Mouse was more the vanilla character. Donald Duck was the one. His whole thing was he had a horrible temper, and he would lose it all the time. And it's fascinating to watch these cartoons. But if you get a chance, watch some old Donald Duck shorts if you're bored sometime. They're fascinating. There's a wonderful Pluto short where Mickey's scolding him for teasing the cat and yelling at the cat. And Pluto has this dream where his dog soul gets picked up and he goes down to the bad place, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Hades, and he's put on trial, and it's all cats. Okay.
Oh Lord.
And they put him on trial, and they have they even have a courtroom thing, and they say, "Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you?" And it's not a Bible; it's a phone book. You know? And he puts his hand on there, and then there's a mousetrap that hits him in the paw. And then the jury deliberates, and the jury basically goes through one of those doors where you go in and out, the circular doors, and they go, "We find the defendant guilty," because he's a dog. They're very charming, the old Disney shorts. In fact, I'll admit, probably when a lot of other kids were watching He-Man and Transformers, we had the Disney Channel, so I did watch a lot of the old Disney shorts growing up, and they're fascinating. They weren't as they were more comical than the movies would be. In fact, that's another reason why I'm a big fan of The Emperor's New Groove, because I appreciate the fact that Disney animators made a straight up comedy, around the turn of the century, as opposed to just doing another one of the fairy tale type movies. In fact, I'd argue that Emperor's New Groove has more of a Looney Tune, it's the most Looney Tunes-esque Disney movie I've ever seen. So,
is it a decent movie?
I recommend Emperor's New Groove. It's a good, funny movie. It's I have a suspicion the genesis of it was to do an animated David Spade, Chris Farley comedy. but
Okay.
Chris Farley died, so then they got John Goodman instead, and of course that I think it did change the plot. But David Spade's very obnoxious as the Emperor. In a way, the main character starts out the movie as a villain, and it takes a while for him to even come around. But he also has an evil advisor like a Jafar type that's trying to take over the kingdom too, and it takes place in I guess Mesoamerican Peru. But it's a fascinating movie to watch. It's got the guy that played Putty on Seinfeld in it. Remember Seinfeld? He also does the voice of Brock Sampson on the Venture Brothers. He's in it. It's worth checking out. There's some great Disney movies, especially from like their latter period, and also from a lot of the shorts. I really recommend if you get a chance. At least watch the Donald Duck short with the gorilla.
Okay.
All right, but did you have anything else you want to talk about regarding this movie?
Thank you for suggesting this. You've talked to this film for a while, and I'm glad I finally watched it. The score is very enchanting.
Oh, Disney ruined DuckTales, removed Donald Duck's speech impediment, and turned him into turned Cummings Darkwing Duck evil. I have not been able to watch the new DuckTales show. I watched the pilot. I was very excited about it. I thought, wow, this is a chance for them to do something really special. And I think it had that. I don't like to pick on any generations. I better keep my mouth shut. It had a modern sense of humor that seems to be enjoyed by a certain generation of young people. That like that modern SNL style humor. The what are they called? Both the self-referential humor, but also the random humor in on it, and it got on my nerves in the worst way, and I couldn't watch another episode after that. And I wanted to like it because I figured David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck, sign me up. He's in the old red outfit. I thought they were going to go back to the DuckTales comic book too for inspiration, because there was a lot of stuff done in Disney comics, and I watched the first episode and I just said no. I'm sorry, I can't do it. There may be DuckTales fans in the stream too. It's to each their own. It wasn't my cup of tea. Okay.
And
but again,
that's okay. We don't all have to like the same thing.
It may be the aged boomer me. By the way, the whole aged boomer, I might as well just tell you where that comes from. I'm not a baby boomer, but I read this meme online called the 30-year-old boomer, and this guy that kept saying Quake was a good game. And I'm thinking that's me, because Quake was and still is a good game, and I think there gets a point in time where we're all kind of stuck in our ways, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe we're just right and modern stuff is just terrible.
A lot of it is, yes.
Okay.
Well, next week we're doing Dances with Wolves, yes?
How long is that movie?
3 hours.
Do you want to start at 8 o'clock next week, maybe?
That's fine.
Maybe actually, when do you put the dogs to bed?
About 6:30.
Okay, all right. So we could do maybe 8 o'clock, unless you can't start at 8 o'clock. Maybe we could maybe still do 8:30. It's 3 hours. We got to start the movie at 8:30 though. I want to start it early because I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a full day the next day, fortunate, but yeah.
Professor Geek said he will come by and join us to discuss the literary importance of the character. So
in Dances with Wolves. Oh, that's exciting. Yes. Okay.
So we won't have to talk for 3 hours, which is good. We can break it up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, this was fun, and we'll do Dance with the Wolves next week. What's the week after? Is that the night you're taking off? Yeah, and I'm going to go with Netter to do the what do you call it? The Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. So that should be interesting. Okay. All right, but thank you for tuning in, people in the chat, and we will catch you later.
Everyone have a good night.